Good morning and welcome. You've just seen the city tour of Berlin, so you know exactly where we are. We are in the German capital, where this weekend the greatest European event is taking place when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yep.
My name is Oliver German. I'm joined here by Luke.
Hey, Ollie. Nice to be back.
Yeah, it's nice to be back. It was a little bit of a wait. Some guy earlier came up to us and said, I think it's going to take a little bit longer until we're going to start when you compare it to the schedule. Yep. I said, if that's your only party trick, you're going to be a very bad fortune teller. Because apparently that happens very often. Today the problem was that one of the scorekeeper laptops was corrupted, the file with all the player information. So our dedicated staff had to enter 150 players again after the event was basically supposed to start. But they did that in relatively short amount of time. Of course, it's not how it appears when you're waiting for the tournament to start.
Exactly.
But now things are basically underway.
Yep.
And what can we expect this weekend?
Deck-wise, are you talking about deck-wise?
Oh, I'm talking about everything.
Everything. Well, okay, so, obviously everyone's fighting for these things. They're not only really cool trophies, but they say that you get the prestigious
those are like that's an invite for Worlds, basically.
Yeah, exactly. You get to go to the World Championships.
If you show that at an airport, they take you straight to Orlando in Florida. They say, okay, here you go. Obviously, a Yu-Gi-Oh! Champion. Here you can fly over to the World Championship.
Yeah, and that's obviously over in the US.
Right.
In just a few months' time.
And one could argue that it's going to be harder than ever to win these trophies this weekend because it's the largest European championship of all time.
Yep.
More than 1,300 players.
Yep, I think we were short just a few tables a little while ago.
It's going to be a very exciting weekend. You just touched about decks. What are we going to see this weekend? What are the big decks?
We have actually two quite strange ones in front of us right now, ready for the first match. Felgrand and Majespecter Performapal, a little more normal, but it's going to be Monarchs. There's going to be a lot of Monarchs.
Yeah. The interesting thing about Monarchs is yesterday we spoke to some of the national champions, and they never wanted to give away what they were playing in case they were playing something like that. When they say, I'm playing Performapal, something like that. Yep. When they played Monarchs, they were always like, yeah, I'm playing Monarchs. Because they really don't mind somebody else to know. Because A, there are different variants of Monarchs. And B, they said, I'm not afraid of anybody else. I'm just afraid of my deck not providing me with the right cards.
Exactly,
so only you losing to yourself is what they said.
Yeah, so it's got quite a lot of troubles with consistency. But but it's a very powerful deck.
If it goes off,
it goes.
It does. All right. So we didn't pick these two guys just because they were playing creative decks. We picked them because we have last year's winner of the European Championship in our feature match for round one, Ido Marcus from Israel.
Yep.
If this is the first time you're tuning in and you're like, wait a second, didn't you say European Championship and Israel? That doesn't really work. But no, the European Championship basically covers all the territories that the European Konami office is responsible for, and among them is Israel.
Yeah, that's actually my my branch.
Right. So you can tell us a little bit about Israel later on.
Yep.
The main event has started. I know you guys kept waiting for a little bit, so let's take you right to the table where these two guys are getting ready. I think we didn't even say the name of the opponent. We got Giorgio Bandera from Italy on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side we got Ido Marcus from Israel. All right, how excited are you about this match?
I'm pretty hyped because we didn't think we were going to see a Felgrand deck, but we do.
Yes.
In the first round.
Yes. And somebody handed me a structure deck and they said, hey, if you want to play this yourself, here you go. And I'm like,
yeah, we've actually got the structure deck right here. I'm holding one right now and ready so that we can look through all the cards whenever they get played.
And since we got such a lot of, I would say, commentator power this weekend, and everybody's got their little own story that they can tell, Rob shared with me that the last time we saw basically a structure deck-like deck in a bigger tournament was 2 years ago, at the first time ever when we were streaming at the European Championship 2014, where I think it was Marcel Burri from Switzerland who took his Light Zone deck all the way to the finals.
Yeah, that's when Raiden had just come out.
Right, yeah.
The Light Zone.
Yeah.
Just came out. So
all right.
Ido opens here with the perfect cards. He just has Joker. So starting off with Joker or Monkey Board, immediately completes your Pendulum Scales. That's what you want. That's all you need.
This is a really good advantage early on.
Yep.
Putting himself in a good position. And of course, you guys should be familiar with that. You see that on the right-hand side of the screen. We got all the information for you. We got perfect information, so to speak. Apart from the cards in the graveyard and in the banished zone, we know everything, even the set cards.
Yeah, so Ido's opening hand here is absolutely insane.
Yeah, and it just keeps developing.
Insane.
It keeps getting better. Let's take a quick look at what Giorgio is holding on to. Nothing to interact on his opponent's turn.
No, Ido has opened amazing here. He's going to be able to Sky Iris the Joker away, get more scales, summon the Pendulum Sorcerer to destroy those scales, put those in the extra deck, go search for scales for next turn, and be able to finish off with Secret Village of the Spellcasters.
That's one of these so-called floodgates, in a way.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
So that says that if you don't, so if your opponent, so when you've played Secret Village and you've got a spellcaster on the field, your opponent cannot play spell cards unless they have a spellcaster.
Which for many decks is not the case.
No, exactly. And if we look at Giorgio's hand here,
Curry Bandit.
Yeah, Curry Bandit. I don't think that's a spellcaster. No, he's a fiend.
Fiend, of course. You got a dragon.
You got two dragons, and then just spell cards. So he's actually only going to be able to play the Curry Bandit and use its effect. Even in that case, he's still going to struggle. So I can imagine Ido here is probably going to take away that Sky Iris and play his Secret Village, and he's just going to pass on that.
And how bad is it that he doesn't have anything set in his back row? Does he need anything set?
No, he doesn't need anything.
He's got everything he needs.
Yeah, he's got everything. He does, this was the best hand he possibly could have. He has Oddeyes Pendulum Dragon in the end phase to go and search for Bunbuku, the Majespecter. He's playing the Majespecter version of the Pendulum deck. He's only playing Majespecters and Performapals. No Dracos, no Magicians.
We see Amorphage Goliath coming in fresh for Giorgio.
Yep, so that's a dragon as well.
Yeah, and of course you cannot activate it as a pendulum
spell.
No,
yeah, because
spell is the keyword.
Yeah, it's the spell.
Yeah.
So yeah, as I said before, Giorgio's only option here is to.
How strong would Secret Village of the Spellcasters be if you could still activate pendulum spells? Or does it really really make a difference?
Oh no, it makes a big difference.
Okay.
It wouldn't be anywhere near as strong. Nobody would use it for this purpose.
Okay, that's a pretty big statement. Yeah. When you say nobody would use it, okay.
Well, yeah, but it's true. It would be the whole point of Secret Village was that it would stop any kind of pendulum scales.
It just shuts down decks on its own for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean, together with a spellcaster, but yeah.
Yeah, it became so much stronger when pendulums came out.
All right.
Because it was stopping that whole mechanic.
Yeah. So we get one set card for Giorgio. That's a Soul Charge, and that is it. So
Ido just wins now.
Also we know that Ido is one of these guys who has no fear. You can hashtag that if you want. He just attacks into whatever is in his way. He's going to risk it. That's basically how he won last year. He said, okay, I can either go big or go home. And Israel is a little far until I'm going to make it home, so let's just go big instead. And that worked pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's why he went all the way to Japan.
Yeah. So I think Ido's got the game here.
Wow, that was such an explosive opening, and now he
the
only quotation marks has to follow it up.
Yeah, I think he's unless he decides to play safe. Like that could be, let's think through Ido's mind here. If that's a solemn strike and his pendulum summon gets striked, then that would be really bad.
Okay.
So Ido could play safe here. In all honesty, he has no real reason. Yeah, so he's going to play very safe.
Didn't you just say he doesn't have a real reason to play safe? Or
No, he does have. If his big pendulum summon gets striked or something, then
okay,
there's no reason to kind of
risk
overextend here.
Okay, overextend is a nice word. Yeah, it's definitely better than some of the words I heard yesterday when I was speaking to players in between interviews that we were doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the language gets really rough.
Yeah.
And I have this habit of correcting people when they are they are saying something like my deck is XXX, and then I'm like, oh, you mean it's not very competitive or it's not very consistent. Speaking of consistency, Ido Marcus goes off like I don't know, what is it, like a motorbike on the highway, I guess. Shifting gears and going into 100 miles per hour overdrive. And
I was going to say, he's going into overdrive, Ollie, I think is the word you're looking for.
Just two short duels, He wins the first game, and that, of course, reminds us of last year's final.
Yeah, Ido Marcus, whenever he reaches the feature match area, I don't think he likes us very much. He just thinks, I don't want to take too much time
I don't want
here.
to, I don't
he thinks, I don't like it here. I'm going to quickly get this out of the way.
I don't think we have any other player that has like such a record when it comes to, if he's in the feature match area, he makes short work of his opponent and he just leaves. And he's like, that is it.
Guys.
Yeah, if you want me here for longer, you have to pay me or something. I don't know what his deal is, to be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe he wants some booster packs or something. We can bait him into that.
I once played Ido in a tournament. He's
well, good for you that there wasn't a feature match going on.
Oh, yeah, it was great. I did lose to him, but it's really the way he plays is actually really strange. He plays kind of the way that he puts his card, like different people play their cards in different ways.
Right, yeah.
And Ido has got this kind of weird thing that he does when he places cards on the field. You'll notice it when he plays, but he plays quite strange, and he always makes really weird comments about how he's playing. Yeah. He's a really off the wall guy.
But the thing is, that you could actually also see that last year when he did a couple of interviews after the coverage was basically over, and people did deck features with him. And after the first guy did his deck feature for his YouTube channel, everybody was like, Can I please be next? Because everyone was like, okay, this is a character. This is one of those guys that people love to watch because he really is entertaining. Even when he's just running through his deck.
Yeah, he is very entertaining.
I think it's going to be entertaining this year as well, watching him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys can, of course, start a petition and say we want to have every round a feature match of Ido Marcus. But I don't want to hear any complaints if the break in between rounds is getting too long then.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, here we see I'm going to call it the shady 8 pile. Of course, Giorgio is shuffling a little bit more, but there's one interesting technique. If you do an 8 pile first with your shuffling, and after that you're doing a 5 pile, the deck is in the exact same order than it was originally.
Yeah.
That is, if somebody does that to you, and you should really pay attention, because you should actually call over a judge, because that is obviously not allowed. You cannot have somebody not randomize their deck, or basically like randomize it for a second and go right back to that.
Yeah, it is very strange how that works.
Yeah, but of course you see those two guys, they don't shuffle in that way. They combine different shuffling techniques and everything. Yeah. Yesterday I tried to bait somebody from the national champions, because he said that his deck is... they love to talk about bricking. They always like, my deck bricks, my deck bricks. And then I asked him, how important is it to shuffle your deck well? Because I think that plays a big role, actually. Yeah. I've seen a couple of guys that, like, they lose the first game, they're frustrated, they're just shuffling for 2 seconds. Second game, they're like, oh, my opening hand is bad. I'm like, well...
You didn't shuffle
very well. You did shuffle, of course it's bad. Yeah. And they didn't really come to the same conclusion. They were like, no, I just was unlucky. So there are other factors in this game that play a role that you really should be thinking of.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the side decks here.
Oh, yeah.
What interesting things. So it's really interesting that Giorgio actually has full house. Full house could be a big one here. The only issue is...
See, at first I thought this was a figure of speech, but no, you mean the actual card, full house.
Full house, yeah. But the strange thing about this is that Ido doesn't play very many trap cards. So... You know, the full house, for those who don't know what it does, you target 2 face-ups and 3 face-downs, and then they're all destroyed. So the thing is, Giorgio is going to have to maybe sacrifice some of his own set cards to try and get rid of those secret villages of Ido. But I guess with Giorgio going first, we see in his hand, he's probably going to draw a few more cards. Well, he's got Into the Void, he might play that. So we'll see. He needs to draw a Mystical Space Typhoon to try and stop that happening, that lock happening again. Because in all honesty, he doesn't have very much to stop it in his deck in total. His only out actually is Full House and Mystical Space Typhoon.
Matt doesn't seem convinced. Matt is listening to you.
There's also a Magic Deflector. Ah, the Arcbrave Dragon, of course. Yeah, Arcbrave Dragon will banish all of the spell and traps if it gets summoned.
This is new. We got comments from the site on top of...
Yeah, that was good.
That's really good, yeah. No, we appreciate it, don't worry. Yeah. Normally we
Arcbrave
only
Dragon,
get... Yeah. Normally if somebody wants to correct us, he does it in capital letters.
In the Twitch
on the Twitch. Exactly.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So when Arcbrave Dragon is special summoned, you banish all of the face-up spell and traps your opponent controls. That's going to do the job.
That is... Indeed.
That's definitely going to do the job.
All right, so how good is this opening for him? I mean, of course, it's much better than his opening in the first game, but is it comparable to Ido Marcus's opening in the first game?
No, I don't think it's as restrictive for Ido. Ido's still going to be able to play his cards very happily. I think Giorgio is going to, his deck's doing what it's supposed to do. He's putting Lord Felgrand and Archbrave Dragon in the graveyard.
Right.
But
as a soul charge. One of the turns you really don't mind losing your battle phase on the very first turn.
Yeah. So I think that's Dragon Spirit of White on the field.
Yeah, we're just going to have it in just a second, yeah.
It's too shiny, I couldn't see it.
What do you think about the Necro Valley?
It was Dragon Spirit of White.
Is Dragon Spirit of White.
Yeah, so that's quite impressive, really, that Ido thought to put Necro Valley in. I guess it was maybe... I don't even know why Ido put Necro Valley in.
Did he even see anything?
I don't think he saw any cards.
Yeah, he saw... He did see the face-down soul charge. He did, I think he saw nothing.
Yeah.
Either that's an extremely impressive read.
Oh, no, hold on. No, he's not. I thought he was main decking. No, that's just one copy that he put in from the side deck. So he is...
Maybe it's a versatile card, but it's not good against every other deck.
Now, so Giorgio's... I think this is probably the best turn that Giorgio can have here. So this is number 95, Galaxy Eyes Dark Matter Dragon. That's a mouthful.
I was about to say that.
It's a bit of a mouthful. And its effect sends 3 dragons with different names from your deck to the graveyard. And then it does something else, which I can't remember.
Right, we're eventually going to go look it up. We just got news. We got 1,413 players now, with all those late registrations and some players not being entered into the software at the very start because we had some technical difficulties. Now 1,413, and that's impressive indeed, because I think we just moved up a little bit in the list of the largest European events of all time.
Yeah, so Ido here has to banish 3 monsters from his deck. So I think he's chosen a few maybe hand trap cards that are not going to be much use anymore.
Right. Actually, I have to correct myself. We're still the only, and there are lots of quotation marks around that only, the 4th largest European event of all time.
Yeah. 3
YCSs on top, Milan 2014, Bochum 2013, and of course number 1, YCS London 2013. 1,466 players. But that's it. Enough stats for now.
Yeah, so I think this is a pretty good opening turn for Giorgio here.
At first, it didn't seem like it was going for such a long time.
No.
It seemed like he was in a one-way street, basically, and he arrived at the end of it, but he was like, nope.
I wasn't, in all honesty, expecting him to play Soul Charge this turn. Yeah, I thought.
But do you agree with his line of plays?
Yeah, I guess if this is how he chose to play, he wanted to set up his deck and set up this field right now, then yeah, I guess that's the best way to do it.
Right. And you said earlier that Ido can still play his cards. Did anything really change about that?
No, Ido can go and play his cards and do whatever he wants still. There's nothing that Giorgio is going to be able to stop him with here.
Does he have something to fight back?
I don't remember seeing much other than spell cards. He has an Oasis of Dragon Souls. Does he have another Archbrave Dragon in the graveyard? If he does, then he's going to be able to play Oasis on it. Ooh, that was close. That Mystical Space Typhoon, if that had hit the Oasis, then that could have been bad. Yeah, so he must not have another Archbrave, because otherwise he would have played Oasis right away.
There's a Pendulum Summon. There was a time in the game when you suddenly put 3 monsters on the field at the same time. The opponent was calling you out and saying, wait a second, this is not according to rules.
Yeah, if he'd have left Archbrave Dragon in the graveyard and then played Oasis on it, he could have banished all of the Pendulum Scales.
So that is why Ido got rid of them by himself, I presume?
Yeah. I have Matt waving at me telling me that's wrong. So I'm probably wrong. Anyway, we're going to see Ido here going through all of his Pendulum Scales and drawing with Lizard Draw, just kind of crafting a good field that he can use to combat this.
And suddenly we see one of these situations where it's a lot easier to make sense of what's happening on the field with lots and lots of cards leaving the field.
Yeah.
It does look like Ido suddenly has the upper hand, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So what was the key play here? What made all the difference?
So I think he had the Archer and Eccentric that was just able to kind of deal with his monsters. Nothing much more to be said. Archer and Eccentric is really, really powerful in this scenario where you just got to sort out your opponent's board.
Right.
If they've just got big things in the way, I mean, Ido's just going to be able to drop his extra deck on the field.
Suddenly this seems extremely promising for Ido again.
That's it.
Yeah, and that was an understatement, in fact. That was his second turn. I think that was his second turn.
Yes.
Yes, it was. Missed the 2 turns. I'm going to win the game. Ido Marcus continues to be on a roll.
Yeah.
We can say that. Some people are asking, well, what happened during the last year at the other events? Well, he didn't make it to Prague or Rimini. He couldn't attend these events for, I'm not sure why, to be honest.
No, I don't know.
I guess the flights from Israel are somewhat expensive.
Yeah, they are.
So, yeah, and now he's like, yeah, European Championship, that's my tournament, so I'm going to be back, and I'm going to show everybody how you can win 2 of them in a row.
Yeah.
Wow, that was quite the blowout.
That was pretty fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got second place in his national championship this year. That's how he qualified.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's a good thing to do.
We definitely have a very good player there. Like I've only seen him a couple of times, but you can tell already this guy really knows what he's doing. We just got the question: do we want to interview him? Yes, of course, because we want to spend a little bit more time with him. Yeah, you cannot get away from us that quickly. It's not that easy. All right. So any surprises here? Did you think that this game would be as one-sided as it turned out to be?
No, I don't think so. I think the Secret Village is a really good card.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why Ido is playing this deck. He was speaking to us yesterday when we were talking to... We have some pre-recorded content that we're going to show later that was us talking to the World's competitors.
Right.
And, but, while we were talking about
last year's World's competitors. It's not like we already decided who's going to this year's Worlds, just in case you're wondering.
No. So, and he was saying that he thinks this is why this deck's good.
Okay, yeah. So. And but did you expect this game to play out the way it did, or this match rather?
I didn't really think too much about it. I was more excited that we were just getting to see Felgrand.
We kind of did, but then we kind of didn't, because he was like one game he didn't really. Yeah.
That's a shame.
We really have to talk to Ido. This is not how we imagine our feature matches when we plan them.
No,
we're like, no, it should be a back and forth, and then there's like a third game, and everything is on the line. Yeah, we didn't even really have time to talk about the side decks, which is an interesting topic, by the way, because yesterday spoke to a couple of players, like we said, and then Peter Gross came up and he said, I don't want to be featured anytime early on. I'm like, why is that? Because I've had this before where players don't want to get featured, of course. And he's like, you give away all the side deck cards in the feature match. So I hope you guys at least appreciate it when we can give you some more information why somebody's playing what cards. The players apparently don't.
No, they don't like it.
Right. Well, that was definitely an explosive opening for our event. We are going to take a very short pause, and we're going to be right back with an interview with Ido Marcus, the winner of the first round. So don't go anywhere, guys. Stay tuned.